Hey everyone, kicking off the new year here at the beach on vacation with the family, and I got to thinking, I wonder how many of my fitness goals I met that I set at the beginning of last year. So I pulled out my phone to find out that I have failed every single one of my 2023 resolutions. So I thought it'd be fun to go through these, see how close I got to some, why I failed on some of them, how plans change, and help you figure out what are some realistic goals to set for fitness for 2024, whether that's building muscle, losing weight, whatever it is, how can we be realistic with it? And first off, one of my goals was bench press 225 for 10, 275 for 5, 295 for 1. So I just did a powerlifting competition like almost 4 weeks ago. I maxed out at 260, almost got 275 up. So obviously the 275 for 5 didn't happen. 295 for 1 didn't happen. And then 225 for 10, I don't know. I think I might be able to do 7 right now. But part of the reason for that is since I decided to enter a powerlifting competition, I started training with actual pauses on the bench press instead of just sitting there and touch and go reps, getting it up as quick as I can. So who knows, I might be able to get 225 for 10 like that, but from now on when I bench, I'm always coming down, stopping on my chest completely and pushing back up. And I've found with doing that, I haven't had any shoulder issues. I've been feeling a crazy chest pump like never before. So I think this year I'll probably be able to make some serious gains in the bench press department. So I think those goals probably realistic for this year. So we'll see what happens there. Incline bench, 255 for 1, 225 for 5. Obviously, no, I haven't been doing much incline bench, especially since I started lifting powerlifting as well. That's not part of it. I just focus solely on the flat bench press, and then I do some dumbbell incline stuff as accessory type of work. So moving on to legs. Leg press and hack squat, I had some high numbers on that, but I haven't done those in like 8 or 9 months because I started having some pain in one of my adductors. I think adductors, whichever one's on the inside of your thigh. And just doing hack squats and leg presses, especially that heavy, was really hurting. And I went back to squats. And speaking of squat, 365 for 1 was one of my goals, and 315 for 8. I got up to what I thought was 315 for 5. I went back and looked at the video, and that's when I decided I'm ego lifting, and I actually made a video about that earlier last year. I don't know, that was probably March, April, something like that, when I realized I was ego lifting, not even getting to parallel, maybe almost there on some of the reps, but did not look good. So I dropped like 100 pounds off the bar and started practicing, changed my technique some. I did a closer stance with my feet closer together. My chiropractor said that'll probably help with some of my lower back issues and not having my legs spread with my different angles and my hips and all that. And I started doing that, went down to 200 pounds, going all the way down below parallel, back up, and quad burn was pretty crazy, and slowly just kept moving back up to that. I did 250 for 10 a couple days ago, and moving up, but I did focus on the powerlifting stuff for a while. I got 247 on my max squat, which I think I probably could have gotten 260, so pretty close to that goal. And that's after going way back down on the weight and then slowly moving back up through the year. So once again, plans change, goals change, working on injuries, do what you can. So miss those. Deadlift, this was the closest one. So 405 for 5, 365 for 10, 315 for 15. Well, 405, I'm pretty sure I did 405 for 4 when I was training for this powerlifting competition. And I could have done more, but I decided not to because, well, not that I decided not to. I didn't need to because I was doing sets of 4. And I was like, I felt like I could have done more, but I'm trying to be careful and not go all the way to failure. A few weeks out and hurting something, just moving those heavy weights. 365 for 10, I'm actually going to do that today. So, 2 days late, I guess, no big deal. 315. I've done it for 12. I'm sure I could do it for 15 now, but with what I've been doing now with this hypertrophy mesocycle I started, a couple weeks of sets of 12, then 11, 10, and moving up till I get to sets of 8. So I'm sure I could do that now. I just haven't. Muscle ups, body weight times 11. Yeah, that was not going to happen. Even when I lost a bunch of weight for the bodybuilding show, like this tendon just, whenever I start doing that stuff, those angles, it hurts. And curls, I had to change that up again because I had this hurting as well doing curls. Right now, the only thing that feels good for me is incline curls, sitting on the bench, going like this, and just being careful with it. So another injury keeping me from doing something there. For dips, I wanted to do 135. That's with 135 pounds hooked to me for 5 reps. And 100 pounds hooked to me for 15. Didn't do either of those. Again, I started really trying to focus more and more on full range of motion as much as I could on everything. So on those dips, getting all the way down, stretching as far as I could, and all the way back up to arms locked out. And that probably dropped 20 pounds off what I was able to do for the same amount of reps. So once again, getting the form as good as possible. And I found when I get as full range of motion as I can on stuff, I've been getting injured less, even though I felt like before I might get injured more because I'm stretching so far. But in reality, like say you're doing a squat, 315, I'm only going barely to parallel or maybe above. If one of those reps goes a little bit below and then I drop down lower, I'm not used to it. That's a whole lot more strain on my lower back than I'm used to because it's lower. The lift gets exponentially harder the deeper you go in the squat. So then when I'm doing a squat all the way down, I hit the bottom and come back up. It's the same every time. Whereas you might not be hitting the same midpoint and it's hard to tell your progression because one day you might feel good because maybe you didn't go all the way to parallel. Maybe the next day you went a little bit lower and it felt way harder for the same weight. So keeping the same full range of motion for everything is one of the best ways to really gauge your progress, track it, and make sure you're not getting hurt as well. Overhead press, haven't done that in forever. I had 135 for 15. Pretty sure I can't do that. And bulk to 195 the second half of the year. I mean, I base my weight off of my morning weight, so I've been 195 later in the day before I go to sleep, but morning weights, I think the highest was around 193. So those are all my goals. And what changed? Well, I decided to do a bodybuilding competition in May. So I was gonna diet down a little bit for my yearly picture update, and then the whole bodybuilding thing took a lot more energy than I thought, and I just spent about 3 months trying to maintain my strength. I actually gained strength the first 2 months, but then that last month, just maintaining what I had, getting really lean, dealing with all that, everything that went along with it. I have lots of videos on the show prep and everything if you want to check that out from back in May. And then I finished that and I thought, you know, I want to do something different. I want to do a powerlifting competition because I haven't done that either. Had way more fun training for that and prepping for it. You know, gained 19-ish pounds. I got a video on that as well. So what can I do now? Like, I don't care so much about certain numbers for this. One of my goals is to do another powerlifting competition in June. I found one, a drug tested one, and I may actually be able to set some records for my age group. So basically my goal for that is to do better than the last one because that's an official way I can gauge my progress every year. And it's not me doing it in the gym and saying, okay, did I touch my chest? Did I go quick enough? Did I get deep enough on my squat? Any of that stuff. You got judges watching you saying, yep, that's good. It gets logged as official numbers. And so I'll have that to base my progress on. And probably do another bodybuilding show later in the year just to experience again based on what I found out and see if I can do any better. And do an actual tested show as well. Because I found one that's day 1 is a non-tested show and day 2 is a natural show. So be interested to see how I stack up in the 2 different categories. But overall, if you're setting goals, like maybe think of what you want and then go halfway there. So say you're really overweight and you want to lose 60 pounds this year. Well, shoot for 30 maybe and do that over the next 6 or 7 months, which sounds like a long time, but the slower you do it, the easier it is to get into a pattern, because really what you have to do is change the lifestyle, not just do a temporary fix and then go back to what you're doing, because what you're doing is obviously not working. And when the same thing with these weights and stuff, depending on what you want to do, be careful with shooting for certain numbers because it's easy to start cheating. Like with bench pressing, I was doing 200 for 10 yesterday and all the way down, pause, push back up. Chest is burning, everything's getting tired, and I was like, okay, just go through it quicker, you can just pump through it. But no, I want each of these reps to count and really get good quality reps out of what I'm doing and not just chase for a number, because yeah, I do want to hit 315 on the bench one day. I want to do like a 405 squat. I think I'll be able to get 500 on my next deadlift in a competition. So it takes time and I want to make sure I do it safely and not hurt myself, because you hurt yourself, you go backwards. So, what are your goals for 2024? What are your resolutions? Are you doing that? Do you think it's done? I don't know. Let me know below. And if you guys want to follow me on Instagram at Camber Fitness, I got stuff there. And Happy New Year. I'll see you on the next one.